50 Cent has just dropped a massive bombshell that not only got Lil Baby arrested, but also triggered an increase in Lil Durk's prison sentence, with the legendary mogul openly exposing during a recent interview that Lil Baby's group 4PF is not just a music label, but an actual gang allegedly tied to the recent homicide of young boys. And worse, that Lil Durk knew all about it and stayed silent, setting off a chain of events that has left fans stunned, the industry rattled, and the streets on fire. Now, let's dive deep into this explosive story, because this is not just another rapper beef. This is a historic unraveling that could redefine how the hip-hop industry interacts with law enforcement and how closely music labels are tied to the violent realities of the streets. First, let's talk about how this all came out. 50 Cent, known for his ruthless honesty and complete lack of fear when it comes to speaking his mind, sat down in a recent interview where he was asked about the state of hip-hop and whether younger rappers are sabotaging themselves by staying tied to the streets. Instead of dodging or sugarcoating, 50 dropped one of the boldest statements we've ever seen from him. He said straight up that 4PF, Lil Baby's crew, wasn't just a collective of artists or a family unit, but a certified street gang, and that the feds were already looking into them for homicides. According to 50, the homicide of young boys in Atlanta wasn't random violence. It was allegedly orchestrated or connected to 4PF members, and the kicker? He claimed Lil Durk knew all about it, but never said a word. That's all the spark the authorities needed. Within hours of that interview circulating online, federal eyes zoomed back in on 4PF, and before long, Lil Baby was in handcuffs facing the looming shadow of a RICO indictment. If you've been following hip-hop for the past few years, you know exactly what that means. RICO cases aren't just charges. They're life-changing weapons used by the system to take down entire organizations, just like they did with YSL and Young Thug. And now, Lil Baby finds himself staring down the same barrel. But here's where it gets even crazier. Lil Durk, already serving time for prior convictions, suddenly found his name pulled back into headlines when prosecutors allegedly used 50 Cent's comments as supporting evidence that Durk has long been aware of 4PF's criminal operations. This revelation paints Durk not as a victim of circumstance, but as a willing accessory by silence. Someone who knew young lives were being lost yet chose to protect his industry peers instead of speaking out. Prosecutors seize on this narrative, pushing for a harsher sentence. And according to early reports, Durk's time behind bars has just been extended. To fans, it feels like a domino effect unleashed by a single interview. But if you understand 50 Cent's history, you know this wasn't random. 50 has always been surgical in how he uses words, knowing exactly how to drop bombs that ripple far beyond entertainment. This wasn't just gossip. It was calculated truth-telling that exposed the dangerous reality behind the facade of the industry. Now, let's rewind for context. Lil Baby has long positioned himself as a street survivor turned superstar, someone who turned hustle into art, gang ties into Grammys, and real-life trauma into platinum records. 4PF, his brand, became a rallying cry for loyalty, brotherhood, and ambition. But in the streets of Atlanta, whispers always persisted. That 4PF wasn't just music. It was muscle, a crew ready to handle business by any means necessary. For years, the authorities brushed it off as rumor, lacking hard evidence to tie the group to criminal operations. But with 50 Cent putting the spotlight on them, the whispers have turned into deafening alarms. And what about Lil Durk? His entire career has been a balancing act between stardom and the streets. OTF, his crew, has been accused of everything from retaliation hits to orchestrated attacks, though Durk himself has tried to maintain a distance in the public eye. But the idea that Durk was aware of 4PF's alleged involvement in the homicide of young boys is devastating. It reframes him not just as a rapper caught up in systemic targeting, but as someone complicit in covering up violence. For prosecutors, that's gold. For the streets, it's betrayal. For fans, it's heartbreak. The reaction has been explosive. Social media has gone nuclear, with hashtags like #FreeLilBaby and #DurkSetup trending worldwide. Some fans blame 50 Cent, accusing him of snitching and selling out his peers. Others praise him, saying he's always been about exposing truth and protecting the future of hip-hop from implosion. And then there's the streets themselves, where some are calling 50's comments the ultimate violation of street code, while others see it as overdue accountability. Meanwhile, the authorities are wasting no time. Reports suggest that federal prosecutors are already preparing a sweeping RICO case against 4PF, similar in scale to the one that took down YSL. Wiretaps, surveillance footage, financial records, all of it is now being combed through, and Lil Baby, once untouchable, now finds himself facing the very real possibility of spending a decade behind bars. As for Durk, insiders claim his sentence extension could keep him locked up long enough to derail not just his career, but also the future of OTF as a cultural force. So what does this mean for the culture? Well, let's be clear. Hip-hop has always had a complicated relationship with the streets. From NWA to Tupac, from 50 Cent himself to Chief Keef, the lines between art and life have always blurred. But never before have we seen the domino effect hit so fast and so hard, with one comment from an industry veteran triggering arrests, sentence extensions, and potential RICO indictments in real time. And let's not forget who 50 Cent is. This is a man who built his empire on surviving real-life bullets, who outmaneuvered some of the most ruthless figures in the music industry, who transformed himself from a hustler into a billionaire businessman. When he speaks, it's not just talk. It's often a warning, a prophecy, or a carefully aimed dagger. Did he know his words would get Lil Baby arrested and Durk's sentence increased? Maybe. Did he care? Probably not. Because in 50's world, survival means never being afraid to tell the truth, no matter how much chaos it causes. But there's another layer to this. Some believe 50's Bombshell wasn't just random truth-telling, but a strategic move. Think about it. 50 has shows like BMF and Power dominating culture, all of which are centered around crime, loyalty, betrayal, and the blurred lines between hustlers and cops. By exposing the truth about 4PF and Durk, he might be positioning himself as the ultimate authority on the intersection between rap and the streets. Not just in fiction, but in reality. If that's the case, then what we're witnessing is not just a legal saga, but a masterclass in branding, where 50 Cent once again proves that his influence goes far beyond music. Of course, for Lil Baby and Durk, none of this feels like branding. For them, it's survival. Baby now faces a future where every lyric, every video, every social media post can be used as evidence against him in court. Durk now sits in the cell with the knowledge that his silence has been weaponized against him, and the industry as a whole must grapple with the fallout, knowing that if 4PF and OTF can be taken down this quickly, no crew is truly safe from the reach of the law.